A rather large restart zone here as we are ready to get round number 2 underway. The Tough Coat Flooring Challenge as we'll start heat number 1. The cars will exit turn 4. They'll stack it up 2 wide. Coming to Barney the flag man. A late jump there for the 97. But we are green flag racing here at Martinsville, the MX-5s. Enough to get them yet. There's a spinner in the back.
And one indeed around. It's a 33 and up and over goes Ruben Garcia. Got a couple more involved in that. Looks like Seth Eggert and Mark Rabillas, the 57-99, get tagged in it. Caution flag will wave. For the first time in Heat 1, DJ Cummings, Gary Sexton about open the door, and that inside lane is starting a freight train through the Battle Beaver MX-5. You really wouldn't want to be in the outside if you're anybody with these cars at this track. Fortunately, though, Sexton is able to hold on a position just a little bit. Here comes Schildhaus down low.
He's up the hill. Brandon Brown on the inside with 2 to go. This is for the transfer spot.
Stallneck in a block. Taylor knocking Brown. Bounces off the apron. Not going to be able to get there, so Stallneck will hold on for the 12th and final transfer spot. A great race between Heat, Brad Perez, and Brandon Brown as they'll crash him up into turns 1. Again, it was Shane Van Gisbergen who led every single lap of that feature. Rogers and Sora's the wait all the way for the green flag to get started. Rogers and Sora side by side, the entire field side by side as they'll work to turn 1.
Front straightaway, caution's out. He got turn 1 car, I think it was Steve Affont, got loose off the corner and just clipped the right rear Brian Boris Cook and hooked him into the wall. I saw Chris Wilner on the opening lap in turn 3. He got sideways. Here's the replay. Oh, I see. Brian Boris Cook gave the chrome horn to Affont, and Affont got sideways and kind of sort of returned the favor coming off the corner. Oh, turn 3.
Rogers is sideways, but he might get saved.
We got one upside down. Charlie Brown just got a piggyback ride here in turn number 3 with help from Devin Henry. I have never seen that before, ever.
I tell you what, yeah, he drove it down in there on the apron. He thought he was down there for sure, but my goodness, what a wild ride for Charlie Brown. I think we have been introduced to new methods here at Martinsville, and yet we're only in the second heat. We have a lot longer to go. Green flag back in the air as Will Rogers, who was your race leader, falls back. It looks like that 55 a little bit loose. Here comes Landon Huffman up the bottom, 3 wide as they work into turn number 3. Huffman going to try to make that move right along the curb, and 3 wide at Martinsville. Well, it looks like it can work for Bickford.
Remember how I said at Daytona when we did the duels that there's always a duel that's wild? Apparently this applies to heat races too, because the first one was pretty tame, all things considered. This second one, the drivers have the elbows out, they're beating, they're banging, they're just dive bombing it in the corners. Parking lot.
Not going to work.
Steve Affont's up on the wall. Mike Clay is around. Brian Boris Cook just drove in there and slammed into somebody. Charlie Brown is around. We had 4 wrecks, I think, going into turn number 1 there, Blake. I mean, everybody. Steve Affont's upside down, so that's 3 on the upside down counter here. Contact between Steve... okay, let's see. That's Charlie Brown and the 84 of Case Collenbach. That was the first contact. Brian Boris Cook.
Once again, green-white checker to tip number 2 under green. Sora Huffman able to get clear down to 2nd. Carruth in 3rd. In the field, 2x2 behind him.
Bickford then got turned around off the nose of Steve Affont after the caution flag came out. Big implications back for the transfer spot. Case Collenbach's car is absolutely destroyed. And James Bickford, he's had enough.
Somehow the transfer, meanwhile, up front, 2x2, looking almost 3 behind him. A white flag in the air, a door-to-door battle for Presley Sora and Landon Huffman as they come to blows here on the back straightaway. Carruth going to look to try to make it 3 wide. He's going to send Sora up the racetrack, who spins Landon Huffman. Huffman gets turned. Carruth saws at the wheel. Sora going to hang on. You feel bad for Huffman. He was on the top side 3 wide and kind of just got spun. There was really nothing he could do up there. But up front, starting this one, Brad Perez, very familiar with these race cars. No shock to see him go to lead and get a big one already.
Flag. Affont's going to send it down into turn number 1, trying to peek to the outside, then cross him over. He backs off a big time as there's a crash behind. Mike Clay is up into the wall. Here they come into turn number 3. One last shot here for Affont.
And it looks like into 3 and 4, not going to be much of a chance. Oh, and Affont just dumps Mark Rebillis, puts him out.
Here comes Garcia!
And now
Garcia gets it! Are you kidding?
Ruben Garcia is going to be the final transfer after Steve Affont throws caution to the wind. As the lights are off, green flag is in the air, and Shane Van Gisbergen will get us started here for the MX-5s at Martinsville, the field 2x2, as they work into turns 1 and 2.
There by the time he got up there, but just a little too much speed. Ford was in that first heat. Been a while since he took some laps on the racetrack. And lap 1, turn 3, driver of the 07 goes around.
They're right on top of each other all the time, so you can kind of get to where we're going to see. I know we usually say to talk about big ones for where we were last week at Daytona, but I think it's just as true. I mean, look at that. They're 4, they're 5 wide entering that corner, and even at Martinsville with these cars, you could probably fit about 5 or 6 wide if everybody was perfectly entering the corner, but you're never going to get that here. Preston Pardis, who got hit, he saves it though, still stacking them up 3 wide into 3.
And Pardis has had a tough time since the start of this race, got into the contact with Gabe Wood and immediately has been sent back into the Hornet's Nest. He's going to have to bully his way back up to the front, side by side between Landon Huffman and Ruben Garcia. Ruben Garcia started pretty much dead last in this field, apart from Huffman and Carruth, who got EOLs to start this race. And now all of them, look at this, 12, 13, 14th on the racetrack, got a couple of more cars behind.
Olsen, you'll see here, Alfredo's going to go to the bottom 3 wide, so they're 3 wide all the way. And Ford's going to turn down pretty hard on exit, and just there's no room. And pinches at Nick Olsen, and then here comes the 10 of DJ Cummings piling it in, nowhere for him to go. And Shane Van Gisbergen has been given a black flag for a restart violation. Your race leader, black flag by Josh Mendoza. He's going to have to come to pit road.
And we'll see if he'll come down to serve that black flag, and indeed he is. We'll get word on officially why that was called. It may have been for too early of a restart, and no, it was a lane change.
And basically near the tail end of the field with that EOL, both of them were in trouble to start this race, and it's looking up for them very quickly as Bickford hits the ground.
Bickford goes around off of turn 4, and
they're still wrecking.
They come back down the track. It looks like
they're still wrecking. Justin Malillo piles in. Balfon's Jr. involved. Nobody holding the brakes, and this wreck lasts from the middle of turn 3 all the way past the start-finish line. 4 more cars piled in after the caution flag came out.
Way up the racetrack goes Max Kinnon.
Normally, that wouldn't work. In these things, it works as they're crashing in turn 1. Again, Shane Van Gisbergen is around, and he just lost it all on his own. I thought maybe Colin Fern was in the zip code. No, SVG just drove it in the corner, backed her into the fence, and that was that. We got a caution for a crash in 26th.
Ryan Boris Cook, Anthony Alfredo, and Garrett Smithley, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. Actually, Alfredo's still back on the racetrack now. He is 15 laps down. Green flag in the air, 5 laps to go. They are tight for second. Sora out by about a car length. And does Carruth think about 3 wide? Not just yet into 3. Of course, making his Campbell World Truck Series debut just a little bit earlier, and this year at the Circuit of the Americas. And Preston Pardis, a very accomplished road racer in his own right. Oh, man, a tough hit back there. Piling on in late was DJ Cummings. This will green-white checkered attempt number 1. Sora going to go early, as we've been accustomed to see him doing. He'll have a little bit of an advantage as he crosses the stripe. Green flag in the air. Last season's champion just behind him, trying to make up a little bit of ground. They go 2 wide for 3rd behind him, so Cabot may have a clear shot to try to get Sora with 1 more lap if they can get to the white flag.
And that was the best restart possible if you're the 98 of Presley Sorrell. White flag in the air from the paper clip. They're side by side for 4th on back. Bailey Turner still trying to hold on the inside. Cabot with a shot to strike on the 98, but Sora looking to hold on for the last half lap.
Presley Sora into the final set of corners. Does he get a little bit of a bump of a nudge from Adam Cabot? He's not going to be able to do it. And off at turn number 4, Presley Sora is going to win the Toughco Flooring Challenge. The driver of the number 98, he loves jerky and he loves winning, as Presley Sora gets win number 1 of season 5 and will lock his way into the Monday Night Racing playoffs.
3 months on the mark since his title in the Road to Glory series, and only 2 starts into the Monday Night Racing Pro Series career for him. It's victory lane. Unbelievable job for Sora tonight.
I was about to say he joins a list of, I believe he is now the 18th winner in the history of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, as he jumps up and he'll join a long list there with win number 1. And with how Sora ran in Road to Glory last year, win number 2 may not be quite too far away.
Overhead through the Northeast lies the 3rd step to a title and a returning favorite, all in one. The Strive for 5 takes to Watkins Glen International, where we welcome you to the 3rd race in Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, presented by Interstate Batteries and the SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge. Always so happy to have you back with us on Podium Esports. We're alongside Jacob Hitz in the broadcast booth. My name is Kenneth Bueno. We'll have Ryan Bauer producing all of the shots this evening, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Jacob, you just saw the highlights of Martinsville. That was one crazy one new look in MNR. But tonight there's 3 words to describe this race. One classic combo. It's a favorite amongst fans, amongst drivers, amongst everybody in Monday Night Racing. So no doubt this one is going to provide an extra entry into a historic category of races in series history.
Well, and you wonder why everybody loves this track combination with these trucks. You don't have to look very far. We posted, or Monday Night Racing posted, the highlights, the finish at least, from when we came here in Season 2 between Will Rogers, Kyle Busch, and the bunch. It was a thriller. It's been like that just about every time we've come here. Tonight, it's pretty much going to be along those same lines. Just watching these guys run practice laps around the racetrack. It's been nothing but fun. These guys are racing each other like crazy. You can do so much more with these trucks, perhaps, than you could with a normal next-gen car, or even with something like the Porsches like we've run before, or the Mazdas. It's going to be so much fun here tonight at Watkins Glen. A yearly tradition. We skipped it last season. It's back in this season now. Early on in the schedule. So glad to have it back.
You're definitely right. Last season was sort of a weird absence for this combo. It was there from Season 1 to Season 3, had a little break, and now it's ready for more here in Season 5. But Jacob, we cannot ignore the pastimes of last week. Martinsville Speedway with the Mazda MX-5s. Presley Sora going to victory lane for his very first Monday Night Racing Pro Series win. But it's Martinsville. I mean, Martinsville is always Martinsville. We saw cars on top of other cars. We saw cars flipping over the wall. We saw so much. And to now create sort of a difference here with the Watkins Glen track and a more strategy-filled race, it's sort of a really weird transition between the two.
And normally when we come to these road courses, Kenneth, we have that halfway break where we won't see any cautions except for at the halfway point, give everybody a chance to come to pit road, re-rack, restack, send them off to turn 1, and the next flag they see is the white flag. This time around, it's a little bit different. No halfway break, but if they wreck enough of them, we'll see a caution flag. And cautions, that's a road course. It's going to take a little while. It's going to give us more time to kind of go through and take a look at the incident, see what happened. But you talked about Presley Sora, winner last week. Completely different scenario this week. Practice charts right now, he sits P15. Behind a lot of strong guys that have been strong here in the past and have been strong in MNR as of late as well. David Shieldhouse just climbed himself to the top of the practice charts. He's somebody that's kind of lurked around. When we were here in Season 3, he was able to get himself into the top 5, have a shot. Wouldn't surprise me if David Shieldhouse happens to slip his way in there and is in the hunt when this thing is getting close to the checkered flag.
Oh, for Presley Sora, this would be the first time that he takes this combo. Remember, he joined the series in Season 5 after having a Road to Glory championship earlier in 2022. Why don't we bring up the driver of the 98 as he gets ready to strap into a Pro 2 truck tonight here at the Glen. Presley, obviously the biggest thing to start off with, the win at Martinsville to lock yourself into the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries playoffs. Probably one of the biggest moments of your sim racing career, especially with the road that you took from ERL all the way to Road to Glory last season with the championship, and just last week with that win at Martinsville. Just how big of a win was that for you?
Oh yeah, it was a really important win, especially because I have nothing to lose now. I'm locked into the playoffs. I can just go for wins now, and you know, the more wins you get, the more playoff points you get, and then I think there's some bonus playoff points for winning the regular season championship. So that's really what I'm going for. I just want to put myself in a position to where I can head off into the playoffs and just not really have to worry about anything in those either with the playoff points I've racked up. So I want to almost have a bye through round 1. My goal is just win as many races and rack those up and hopefully not have to worry about any of that.
And winning was a trend for you last season in the Road to Glory campaign. But here, I mean, it's a very different story. You've got a lot of different drivers, many of them veterans in the series since Season 1. I know it's only been 2 races and it hasn't really built up a full catalog on your end, but how has the experience been, or how different has it been from the likes of Road to Glory and even previous leagues you've ran in your sim racing career versus the first 2 races so far in 2022 in the Pro Series?
Well, it's just different. Road to Glory was mainly just a bunch of sim racers just trying to make their way into the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, and of course, you know, the Pro Series has the real world NASCAR drivers, spotters, you know, media members, and then, you know, people from other sports too. So it's a little different in that aspect. It's different competitors, but the competition's still the same. It's still a bunch of talented guys. So, you know, anytime you win, it's a pretty impressive feat because, you know, no one is a slouch in this. You gotta always be on your A game, and once you win, you know you've beat some of the best.
Well, certainly competing among some of the best, and already you've planted yourself as one of the favorites, one of the strongest here in this M&R Pro Series so far this year. Presley, of course, once again, on behalf of our team, want to send you a huge congratulations on the win at the Paperclip just last week. We know you're going to get ready for the playoffs, but this one, a very different challenge with the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen. We'll let you set some more practice times. We'll let you get on your way. Good luck tonight.
All right, thanks. Hopefully I'm talking to you guys later after hopefully winning again.
Presley Sora, the winner 1 week ago, looking to become a first since Gabe Wood in season number 3 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Well, among the many moving parts that gets this series rolling to the green flag every week, DJ Cummings has been, who alongside competing on track, has been on the admin team that makes M&R what it is today. To learn more about DJ, Devin Henry had a chance to talk with the driver of the 10 car for this week's Get to Know.
A championship for a competitor back in season number 1. DJ Cummings, you are involved in depth when it comes to eNASCAR and NASCAR in general. What exactly do you do in NASCAR, and what exactly is your role in what we see every day content-wise too?
My group specifically is specifically pertaining to NASCAR.com and the mobile app. So our group is basically the eyes and ears of all that. So we know where everything lives, we know how everything works. If people have issues, they come to us. All the live leaderboards, data, in-car camera feeds, scanner audio, all that stuff on NASCAR.com and the mobile app. That's all on us. We're in charge of making sure all that is running properly.
So where exactly did your passion for motorsports come from? When did that bug bite you and you've been in motorsports ever since?
My first NASCAR race was Fall Dover 2002. My grandfather was a blue-collar guy, drove 18-wheelers for 45 years, big NASCAR fan. I was probably at his house one time, and he probably had it on in the background. I just watched it and then gravitated toward it, and then took to my first race, and then after that I was hooked. Ended up coming down from New Jersey, going to college up the road here in High Point, North Carolina, and then ended up moving down here to Charlotte immediately after that. My first job out of college was with Speed Sport, doing copy editing and content with them for a year before I had ended up going to NASCAR, and going more on the technical side of it instead of content specifically. And this is my 5th year now working with NASCAR now, and it's been a blast.
When exactly did you kind of get into the sim racing world, and then how did you end up getting associated with Monday Night Racing, where now you're competing every week for wins?
Well, I guess my first real taste of sim racing was NR 2003. I had heard about iRacing probably when I was in college. Let in on a little secret. The NASCAR building before COVID actually had a sim rig set up on the 8th floor. So every once in a while during my lunch break, that's normally where you would find me. COVID hit and we were home all the time. And I was like, well, this is a better time than any. So I'd originally got into M&R because Ford Martin's one of my best friends. I was in charge of race control for those first 10 or so events. And then once I was able to get all of my parts and pieces for my iRacing setup, and I was able to participate in my first race, I think I ended up winning. There was that, Arc of Bristol, that was the Bob Jenkins race, the first one that he called, which is, now looking back on it, I think was probably one of the coolest things ever to happen in sim racing. To have Bob Jenkins call your first iRacing win is probably is something most people don't get to say very often.
Devin Henry for sitting down to get to know some of the M&R drivers you've known to love here over the past couple of seasons. And we'll bring in the driver of the 10. Of course, a lot of work with real-life NASCAR and a lot of work behind this M&R league. DJ, I know that you hold a very important role for not only handling of this M&R league, but also taking the perspective of a driver each and every week on track. How has that experience been like over the past couple of seasons that the series has been a thing?
It's amazing just to see how M&R has started from where we started there in May of 2020. Can't believe it's been 2 full years at this point. But just the people that we've gotten to race with, and the folks that have stayed with us from the very beginning to all these big names, and just getting to compete with these guys who do this for real life. And just getting to learn a lot of things about what it takes to be a better driver is really cool. And I learn something each and every day from these guys, and it's truly remarkable to see how M&R has grown since we began.
And no doubt, certainly it has grown pretty much exponentially with the driver list and with the ever-growing popularity of the series and the unique combos that come out of it. Obviously, you, along with Matt Stolnick and Ford Martin and a bunch of other guys, have obviously been in charge of this series. Now, moving forward, I mean, this series has grown so much. How is it going to be with the thoughts about the future? How do you plan on moving forward and at least making this series not only more exciting, more entertaining, but obviously more fun for everyone involved, like it has been doing over the past 2 years?
It's really fun, and we listen to what all of our drivers have to say and what the fans like to watch, and that's what got us to this season 5 schedule. We think this takes the best of everything that we've had in the first few seasons of M&R. And I think we're off to a really good start here. And obviously, what we got here tonight with some Pro 2's at Watkins Glen, this is an M&R staple. Something that one of the first races we decided to go a little off the rails with, and I think that this is one of the founding races that got our concept together. Of we're at a different track every week and different race car. So always like getting to come back to the old stomping grounds, and it's really looking forward to it.
You know, DJ, I'll say on behalf of Jacob and myself and Blake McCandless, for all of us in the booth over the course of season 5, it's been crazy. I don't think we've had a moment where we're just sitting down like, oh, okay. It's been intense. So it's been a lot of fun watching not only yourself, but everybody else take the track. I'll put you a little bit on the spot here. Watkins Glen, here with the Pro 2 trucks. You said it, a staple in this M&R league as a whole. How do you feel you're going to do tonight? Any expectations? Any little tidbits you're going to show out to the rest of the field to try and get a win here tonight?
Definitely. I feel like I've gotten better and better at road racing since I began iRacing service. Definitely learning from some of the best and racing in M&R with some of the best road racers like Shane Van Gisberg and James Davison and Will Power in the past, and learning some of the tidbits and tricks to get more speed out of your car on a road course, regardless if it's an Indy car, or if it's a Porsche, or even a Lucas Oil off-road truck at Watkins Glen. Really is something else. But I think today I'm feeling pretty good. I'll be happy with anything in the top 10. Had a pretty shaky first 2 races here, so I'm looking to bounce back here, get a good points day, and get ourselves back into the playoff hunt here as we're closing in on the halfway point of the regular season already.
Well, 7th in practice, pretty good so far in this time. I know qualifying is going to happen in just a little bit, so we'll send you on your way. We'll let you focus. We'll let you get set for tonight's Pro 2 truck race here at Watkins Glen. But, of course, DJ, I want to thank you so much for not only taking the time to talk with Devin Henry, but to talk with us over the broadcast booth. Again, best of luck here tonight.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
All right, DJ Cummings is 7th in practice right now. But, Jacob, the most important part about this race, or really any race here in M&R or in any league, is qualifying. And one thing to note to everyone at home, we've got open qualifying here for this road course race. So it is not just clear-cut, one car out on track for 2 laps. It's everybody all at the same time going on track trying to fight for the best lap. If that's any definition of intense, I think that's the one we're going to use tonight.
Yes, it's every road course lover's dream is group qualifying. NASCAR has started to implement it now over these last couple of years. We know Formula One and IndyCar have done it on the road courses for what seems like forever. IMSA in the same boat. Man, oh man. It's something that we don't get to see much. M&R, typically we do ovals, but man, when we do these road course events, we go all the way, and it's a land rush on pit road. Everybody storming down through the access road in turn 1. They want to get out there. They want to be the first people track. That's Seth Egger.
Seth Egger will be the first one, and everyone's going to storm around this Watkins Glen International track to try and get the best lap and see exactly who will start up front for this SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge. Well, thank you so much for taking part with us here on this pre-race show, but don't go anywhere. Coverage of Race 3 in Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries comes at you next.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Watkins Glen, New York, the side of round 3 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Glad to have you with us for the SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge. Jacob Hitz, Kenneth Wynn along with you in the broadcast booth. Ryan Bauer producing all the shots using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Jacob, it's a staple, but we cannot forget to talk about this track and this track and the NASCAR calendar, using it as a road course race. It is straightforward, 7 turns, but it is very, very fast. And when you put these Pro 2 trucks on display at a track like this, you're sure to have a lot of speed, a lot of contact, and a lot of drifting, for sure.
just rescanned on the service as well. The last 3 times, the only 3 times we've come here, there's been grass over in turn number 1, and the curves have been older, and this track was ancient on the service. Last year, they updated it. It's now modernized. It looks almost exactly the same way that Watkins Glen looks in real life. In these 7 corners, it's a little bit different for these guys. They have to worry about, well, what parts of the road can I use and can't I use staying within the lines? And it's still Watkins Glen, it's still difficult. The narrow S's coming down, flying down the back chute, stopping for the bus stop, couple of hard turns. Then you go through that carousel, you feel like it takes forever when you go through there, and then once you come around there, nice little clean drive down the long back straightaway before you have to stop. 90-degree left turn, then a 90-degree right in 6 and 7 to bring them back around.
It is a very, very quick track, and also to note, you also got to clear yourself single file by the time you get to that bus stop, because it is thin as it can get. And with these very large trucks, it is not an easy route whatsoever. As you take a look at your Season 5 standings, 2 races, 2 winners. Anthony Alfredo, Presley Sora have already locked themselves in via checkered flags in both the Sunrise 500 and last week's Tough Go Flooring Challenge at Martinsville Speedway. So both of them will have a trip for a championship in Season 5 later on in the year. They have no worries, but Jacob, everybody else does. You look at guys like George Balfans Jr., who's had a phenomenal first 2 races. You think about Gary Sexton, who's performed well, Brad Perez, and then even the guys below the cutoff, 14th on back, Landon Huffman, your previous season champion, Adam Cabot, Max Kennan, James Bigford, Preston Partis, so many big names that can take to the checkered flag here tonight at Watkins Glen. And also, we've never had a repeat winner every time this combo has taken stage, so it means it's an up in the air for everybody.
A different winner every time. Got 2 drivers, though, that are looking to change that. Landon Huffman, I was about to mention that he's not here. He just registered as the graphic pulled up and is in the session. Landon will race tonight, which is important for him as far as points are concerned. As you saw, he's 1 point out behind Ford Martin. He's now going to help his cause to getting into the playoffs as long as he sticks with it, or, of course, a win will do just the same as we ride on board with the pole man right now, Will Rogers.
Yeah, Will Rogers so far top of the board in qualifying. There he is running behind one of the fellow trucks in Brian Boris Cook, who's got a very interesting, colorful design as he goes to the inside. Will Rogers to the finish between himself and Kyle Busch, and Will Rogers, a previous champion in M&R in Season 2. So Rogers going to look to repeat some success here at this track as everybody continues to pretty much run around this racetrack. It's just the magic of open qualifying. Everywhere you look, there's going to be one driver or another with a storyline and with a lap they're trying to put on display. And somewhat, in a way, draft is helping their case just a little bit as they're going in the corners, as Rogers will maybe abandon that lap. He goes wide in the penultimate corner there.
Well, I don't know if you saw that. He made contact with Robbie Lyons with iRacing. If you register contact with just about anything, car, wall, etc., your lap is disallowed. So he could have been on a flyer, Robbie Lyons could have been on a flyer, but because they made contact and he just wasn't clear, that totally washes away both of their lap times. So neither of them count, so Lyons has to go back around. His lap doesn't count. He has to start over all again once he gets to start-finish.
And what's also going to be big here is the off-tracks. You mentioned the old Watkins Glen last time we were here. A new rescan includes pavement sections on the exits of corners, and usually it looks like free game to use, but on qualifying, you cannot go there. It'll register as an off-track, and then your lap will be disallowed, like you said there, with a bit of contact. All right, Jacob, we're going to go through probably our favorite or non-favorite part of the pre-race show. We did it last week at Martinsville Speedway. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get Blake McCandless's pick, but Jacob, who do you got tonight in this classic combo?
Well, Blake picks the Charlotte Checkers, and last I saw they were winning 2-0 in their game that he's covering. But my pick, you see right there, Will Rogers. We talked about him a little bit already tonight. He won here in Season 2. He went on to win the championship that season. I like how consistent his stats here at this race. Oh, well, he wasn't here, so he didn't register a finish. In Season 2, of course, or Season 3, he finished second to SVG. Season 2, he won here. An average finish of 1.5? Yeah, I'll take those odds. I'll take Will Rogers.
Good pick. Previous winner, previous champion, but I'm going to go with the guy who bested him just a couple of seasons ago. I'll go with the V8 Supercar champion in SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. There's no doubt, Jacob, that this man right here has put up finish after finish after finish, and that goes the same for the road courses, which he knows how to run in real life with real racing cars. He has been one of the best in this seminar series since he debuted, and of course season 3 coming off of that win at Watkins Glen, he's going to be looking to do it all over again. I'm going with SVG tonight. I don't know if he's going to wreck. I hope he doesn't, because every time I pick somebody it usually doesn't go well, but SVG, I think he'll take it here tonight from the Glen. So
99 over 99 at the road courses. That's, yeah. I think Rogers was an 89. 99, that's about as high as you can get on the road courses, and looking down through the list, road course wise, he's the highest, and I don't think there's anybody that is anywhere close to him.
Well, also you got to think, 1 start, 1 win. I mean, he hasn't ran too many road courses on the schedule, and I mean, those are LeBron numbers right there. 2K16 LeBron numbers, 99 all the way through. So no doubt I'm going to go with SVG here. Jacob, though, this race, Watkins Glen, although you think about this combo, the Pro 2 trucks, Watkins Glen, it looks like a chaotic combo, much like the MX-5s in Martinsville just 1 week ago. But last season, or rather the season before that, when we last took a trip here to Watkins Glen, New York, this race posed good amount of strategy. A lot of guys taking tires and fuel on pit road. We've got 100% fuel and unlimited tire sets tonight, so there's no worry about tire set limits or how the fuel is going to be concerned. But there probably is going to be some trip down pit road, at least in some capacity. So although we may see some crashes, we may see some wild moments, we're probably going to see some of the mind games being played with the crews tonight.
Well, and the question that we're going to have to deal with pretty much the whole night is, what are these guys going to do about strategy? You're right. And the fact that they don't have that halfway caution, so they can't rely on that. They have to come up with their own sort of strategy as the night goes on. Yes, cautions can still fly for contact and for crashes. Those are probably going to be few and far between, though, with Paul Sutton up in the race control stand. So it'll be really interesting to see. It will be on the fly, looking down through the entry list. There are a couple of drivers, calculate the math and everything, but for the most part, I think it's going to be a do what your gut tells you to do type of deal here.
We'll see if exactly that is the case. Jacob, why don't you run us through what we've got on the lap counter tonight? Race analysis here from Watkins Glen. A very different look from our previous road course races. What do we've got?
Well, 38 laps. There's your race analysis. As you mentioned, 100% fuel load, unlimited tires. So these guys can just go through and burn all the tires that they want to at this point. Just run them right off the tread. It doesn't matter. You can go through all of them, and the way these guys drift around this racetrack, it might happen. They still have only 1 fast repair. You junk your truck more than once, you're probably toast. 3 green, white checkered attempts. We'll see if we need to use them. If we get a late race caution, though, I have a feeling we're going to be using at least one of them, just because things can get wild, and boy, when they get to that backstretch chicane, may look like a little 2006 Xfinity Series racing here. Robbie Gordon, Kurt Busch.
You know, I can imagine, too, it'll be like the whole Marco Samos, Brad Keselowski deal. Everybody's through the grass. I don't know if we're going to see that, but hopefully we get a fantastic finish at the end here from Watkins Glen. Let's take a look at the weather before we get started. We've got 4 o'clock Eastern time here in Sim. Of course, date is May 16th. Temp at around 78 degrees. Track temp not in the triple digits, surprisingly enough. Here in the Northeast, 95 degrees, a couple degrees shy, but it is still below that 100-degree mark. We've got winds to the 2-mile-per-hour mark at the north, and it's a beautiful afternoon day here in Sim. So no worries about the weather being a factor. We're going to hope for a beautiful, clean race here tonight from the Watkins Glen circuit. Let's head all the way trackside and take you through your starting grid. See exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight in the SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge with our BST Shock starting grid. Here's Will Rogers, the Flying Hawaiian, on the front row. And Jacob, we've got both our picks here. Shane Van Gisbergen to his outside in P2. DJ Cummings, we had a segment on him earlier tonight in our pre-race show. He's got a good qualifying effort for third. Preston Pardis will start to his outside in P4. And rounding out your top 5, Jacob Hits, is Charlotte Phoenix's own James Bickford in the 29.
We failed to mention this, by the way. Standing start. So they grid and we go. No pace car. We just set them up, run the lights, and let's go. How about P6? It's Nick Olson, who came over from the Road to Glory series. Adam Cabot and Ruben Garcia start in row number 4. Of course, Adam Cabot, the former series champ from a season ago. Brad Perez, David Schildhaus round out the top 10. And I tell you what, Schildhaus, if there were to be a guy that I would pick instead of Will Rogers, he might be the guy. He might just have the consistency here today to pull off victory, as Ruben Garcia is having some connection issues. Hopefully we can get him back in before we drop the lights and get rolling.
He's going to have to wait to get back in. Hopefully he does before everybody gets set. There's a look at the rest of your grid as it stands. Gary Sexton, a look at Ford Martin, Lee Goner, Robbie Lyons. A lot of great road course racers in here. Garrett Smithy has had a good track record as of late on the road courses. He's starting on the outside of row number 11. A lot of guys here, a full 38 truck field from Watkins Glen International. So practically it is a full house here at the road course. And for this classic combo returning after a season's absence, it's going to be looking to pack a punch here. Of course, this is a standing start, so all the drivers have to wait until the very moment when the lights go out and the first truck takes to the green, as they all will sail to turn 1 with pretty much the exact amount of speed depending on the start. I think that's what makes it so exciting. I think the last time, Jacob, we had a standing start was back last season, Daytona Road Course with the MX-5s, where everybody was lined up on the tri-oval, had to get as good of a start as they could. There's a look at the final 2 drivers here in this 38 truck field. Devin Henry out of Glendale, Arizona, and NHRA funny car driver in Ron Capps. Jacob, this is where the anxiety builds. Everybody waiting for the green flag.
And it's just a wait on, all right, is everybody in? We're still waiting on a couple of drivers. I'll list them off. Well, Ruben Garcia, we know his situation with internet. Gary Sexton, Gary Smithley. We're still waiting on those 2, and that's it. Once those 2 join in, we'll see about Ruben Garcia. Other than that, I think we might get the good to go signal. We'll have to wait and see, but this is just where the intensity builds. And for these drivers, they have to remember they can't blow it. Here on the standing start is, here we go, lights out.
Green flag in the SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge, and already the Flying Hawaiian Will Rogers takes a huge step out front in front of SVG into turn 1. Multiple drivers, 3, 4 wide, trying to fan out as the field heads up to the S's for the very first time.
They all fan out when they get out of turn number 1, which is fine and dandy, but they need to condense once they get to the S's here in turns 2, 3, and 4. Here they come flying up through the hill, one of the trickiest parts on the racetrack, with the right, then the left, then the right, as they come up down the straightaway looking for the bus stop for the first time. SVG all over the back bumper of Will Rogers.
Gonna give him a bump draft here, not gonna push the issue through one of the tightest corners in this entire track. Rogers gonna be able to skirt through into the carousel for the first time. Couple of trucks side by side. First battle, Ryan Vargas, Colin Fern, 12th, 13th. Gabe Wood behind there in the JD Motor eSports entry. Vargas will drift high. Wood will go for a little bit of a slide. That's one of the toughest parts, Jacob, to maintain traction right out of the high-speed carousel. It is really tough to keep this truck straight. Fortunately, everybody stays clean.
Well, and we know that those guys are teammates, so it wouldn't be wise for them to be making much contact, but they're able to sort it out, and they keep things going as they come around through 6 and 7. Will Rogers will lead lap number 1. SVG holding down the fort in second, as most of them single file. Colin Fern really gets it sideways off turn 7, but he keeps it going straight.
And he continues the duel with the likes of Ryan Vargas and Gabe Wood. They've got a bit of a gap to defending champion Adam Cabot, rocking some new colors here tonight. Bit of contact there between the 2. Here's on board with DJ Cummings, who has since taken over second. A smart move over the V8 Supercar champ. And Cummings trying to take advantage here of this second place position. Maybe going to run to Will Rogers here on the backstretch.
DJ Cummings had a really strong truck in practice, and he's showing why right now all over the back door of Will Rogers, trying to hunt him down for the lead. Here comes Van Gisbergen down on the inside. He takes that second spot back as they come down through the bus stop. He's going to try and apply that pressure right back onto Will Rogers. Side by side further back, it's David Schildhaus and James Bickford.
Bickford now sliding high in the carousel, and here comes Shieldhouse, the TobyChristie.com entry, trying to work down low, and also nice for the viewers watching over at home. Toby Christie doing some giveaways here. They mentioned on Twitter a little bit earlier this evening. Brad Perez, Hollywood, Florida's own, trying to take charge here. It is a battle for P6 on the racetrack. Here's on board with Shieldhouse. Let's look at the Arizona native, now North Carolina resident, as he goes to the final corner here, turn 7. And we'll just camp in behind the Charlotte Phoenix entry of Bickford, still in P6. Most of the field now single file. And it appears as though Jacob Colin Fern has broken way in front of Ryan Vargas and Gabe Wood. So the pressure has stopped for a moment, but it hasn't stopped for the likes of Gabe Wood and company, because Max Kennan, TJ Majors going side by side for 15.
And here they go. Majors down on the inside. Whoa, and Kennan gets wide. There was contact. He's sideways. He saved it in front of the field coming off turn 1. Everybody avoids him, and he fits in line right next to Brian Boris Cook going into turn number 2. A great slide and save for Max Kennan in turn number 1.
That was a huge save for the 21 as he continues to bobble it up through the S's. It looks like Mark Rabilis will now try to take the position away. That'll be
trouble in the camp, trouble in the bus stop. David Shieldhouse is around. Nick Olson is around. We stay green as those two made contact and wadded him up getting into the bus stop. Shieldhouse just cuts the chicane. He's already lost multiple spots. Some damage on the front end of his truck. Going back and taking a look and seeing exactly what happened. Olson got on the brakes. James Bickford did not, and that got Nick Olson sideways, and there was a whole stack up getting into the bus stop.
It was just a double whammy there. Jacob Olson had locked up the brakes in his career marketing machine, and then Bickford had slammed into the rear end, caught up David Shieldhouse. You see a couple of more swerving out of the way. It looked like Presley Soar, Brad Perez, who tried swerving to get away from the mayhem. Fortunately, doesn't look like too significant of damage for them. There are fast repairs gifted to every single driver, much like every other race here in this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, but that is not a good look. In the opening 4, battle there for around P3. Rogers has lost the race lead. TJ Cummings down low to take second, but SVG in command up front.
I think SVG got by in the carousel. George Balfons Jr. is right up the road. He got a black flag for an issue on the start. He's about to get lapped here at Watkins Glen. It takes an awful lot to get lapped so early on, just 4 laps in, 3 laps in, but he is right in the wake of Shane Van Gisbergen as they come off corner number 4 and come rocketing down to the bus stop.
So Bell fans will have a lot of work to do to keep himself on the lead lap, but he's got a lot of quick drivers just behind him trying to lap him, and it looks like Shane Van Gisbergen will probably have no trouble doing that as they enter the carousel. Here's last week's winner, Presley Sora, now entering the top 10 after starting back in P12, so solid run for the 98 so far as he works still behind David Shieldhouse. It doesn't look like Shieldhouse has too much damage there on his Pro 2 truck, so fortunately, him and Nick Olson are really able to escape scot-free as they were entering the bus stop, got into that slight incident, and Sora trying to put a little bit of pressure here on the former Championship 4 contender going into 6 and 7.
We've got some tempers growing mid-pack. It was Garrett Smithley and Brandon Brown, the Xfinity Series driver, that made contact coming out of the carousel. Smithley came over the radio and was not happy. Then they banged doors, headed down on the stretch to turn number 6. So things heating up toward the middle of the pack. Meanwhile, it hasn't cooled down much at the front. Here comes Cummings, getting by Balfons right in the way of Will Rogers. And P-Money, Preston Pardis, he now sits P4.
And Pardis has been one of the fastest, especially in comparison to Rogers. Last time, the 55 set a 126.3. Pardis set a 126 flat. So P-Money on his way to challenge for P3, although that smack to the outside guardrail going up the S's is not going to help him too much. There's George Belfans in the middle of the field trying to at least keep himself stable. James Bickford going to be the next one to strike. He just entered the top 5. Brad Perez just behind him. Look at Perez send it to the grass. 3 wide in the carousel.
Gotta wonder if that move's legal, but nonetheless, he's gonna make it work. Woof! Brad Perez, you know, he ran here back in the ARCA car over the summer, and he's taking that to work here side by side with Bickford for P number 5 going into turn number 6. Bickford has the advantage on the inside. Here comes Perez around the outside. He goes a little bit wide. Let's see if he can stay side by side going into 7. He can. He'll take the spot. Alfredo peaks for P6.
Alfredo looking down low, and by the way, when Perez was making that pass on the 29, there were tire tracks on the rear end of that 60. He was drifting pretty much that whole corner to get around Bigford. Alfredo, though, will try to take a 2-for-1 here in a turn 1. Will do enough good to get underneath Bigford, not enough to get to Brad Perez in time. They'll usually stay out all the way on the apron there, rather, if you can call it an apron, the little exit pavement that drivers are using to their advantage. And Bigford now going to fall back. Alfredo will take the position for a moment, and it's going to allow Adam Cabot, David Schildhouse and company to get back in the game. But so far, top 4 really behind them have separated Brad Perez pretty much about, I'd say, a second and a half, 7/10 of a second to Preston Pardis. So top 4 pretty much running away with this deal early on in lap 6.
And for James Bickford, the wheels have fallen off the wagon here. He's now fallen back to P number 9. He got passed by Schildhouse and by Cabot. Presley Sora has joined the fray. Remember, he was only 15th in practice. Well, here he is now in position number 10. Cracked the top 10. He wants more, riding all of that momentum from Martinsville into the top 10 here early on, coming to 6 laps complete. Now, fuel window, guys, are about halfway through it, maybe a little more. Just 10 to 12 laps on a tank of fuel. You don't get much out of these babies, so they're going to be pitting almost 4 times here.
And similar to what we saw in the Watkins Glen circuit, with this combo just a couple of seasons back, season 3 saw the same fuel marker. A lot of guys taking some gambles and staying out. So we'll see if the strategy books end up opening sooner than later. That was DJ Cummings trying to make a hard charge in a turn 1 underneath your leader SVG. But with that little hiccup, he's going to fall to the clutches of Will Rogers, and the Hawaiian can now take advantage here going up through the S's. And one thing, Jacob, about these Pro 2 trucks, they're very powerful. They're not very fast. Of course, they're really heavy. These are very big trucks, so they're not going to really do the best aerodynamically, but they are hefty trucks, so you can really give them a beating, and they'll take it with pride, really, as DJ Cummings now slides in front of SVG. Van Gisbergen will hold back into the bus stop. DJ Cummings, your new race leader.
These things are at the closest things you can get to monster trucks on the surface. Yes. There's no doubt about it. They are full-on tanks. David Schildhouse passes Adam Cabot side by side the whole way through the chicane. Now here he comes through the carousel, clears the spot. Bickford looking right behind, can't quite get to the back door of Adam Cabot. So Schildhouse reclimbing. He's back up into position number 7. Cabot's looking to the inside. He's not done yet with this battle. Sora looks to the inside of Bickford. Bickford, I don't know if that damage is too much or he burned his tires up, but he is getting eaten alive out there so far, just 7 laps in now.
Yeah, Bickford falling back significantly. Presley Sora now on the reins, just trying to see if he can pressure Bickford into a heavy mistake that'll send Sora into P9 if the pass is successful for Cabot and Schildhouse. Sort of shades of our championship race last season on Auto Club, the way they've been battling, making some slight contact, and Cabot has been drifting all over this track so far, looking for every advantage he can get on the number 20. But for now, it will stay single file. Schildhouse will maintain his ground, and for Cabot, he'll have to wait just a little bit. And Cabot, how about with some new colors, Jacob? Some blue and black. Usually we're used to seeing him rocking some green, white, and black, but some new colors. Doug D. Nice designs there on the 17. So good new look here on the 17 as he tries to go once again underneath Schildhouse, but will hold back in the bus stop.
Yeah, can't quite do it, and I think now he's just trying to set him up, maybe try and find a weakness on Schildhouse, whether he's burned out his tires or maybe it's the damage that he sustained from the crash going into the bus stop a few laps ago. Either way, Adam Cabot just going to let this thing come to him. Kind of like the championship race at Auto Club. Could be a rematch between these two and 2 others by the time we get to the end of the season at Homestead. Neither of them could be in. That's the fun that we have at the playoffs, but these guys are going to keep slugging it out. It's race 3 of the season. They're racing like there are 3 to go in the season right now, and a playoff spot's on the line.
But also in the same vein, Jacob, you look at these two not locked into the playoffs, haven't won a race yet over the first 2 events, the Sunrise 500 and the Tough Go Flooring Challenge last week at the Martinsville Speedway. Cabot finished 2nd behind your race winner Presley Sora at Martinsville. Schildhouse finished 6th, so a good rebound after the Sunrise 500 for both of them, frankly. Remember, they're again trying to look to championship glory. Cabot trying to defend his title. Schildhouse trying to get back up to the stage at the end of the season. Right now, they're both running 7th and 8th in tandem, trying to get the best out of one another. Shane Van Gisbergen, though, Jacob, what can you say about the pressure put on DJ Cummings? This may be the pass completed. The 97 elects to do it. He won't. He'll stay behind the back bumper of the 10. So Cummings will stay in line as their leader, and SVG is only just going to play the patient game, wait a little bit before that 10 makes a slight slide, and SVG will again challenge for the lead if he can.
He was bump drafting DJ Cummings down the front straightaway about half a lap ago. These guys are all over each other up here at the front. How about battle further back? That 6th, 7th, 8th. David Schildhouse kicked the door down. He gets by Anthony Alfredo. Here comes Adam Cabot side by side. He wants that same position as well, trying to force his way through the hole. Let's see what they do. There's contact going into turn number 6. They beat, they bang. Alfredo holds on to the spot. He's not quite clear. He should clear by the time he gets to turn number 7. Let's see if Cabot sends it in. He will. They'll still be side by side coming off 7.
But he's going to get a slide, and Alfredo will clear. Bigford now gets back into the game, so although the 25 had a rapid fall, he's going to look to stabilize, stop the bleeding here over the first 10 laps of this 38-lap feature, and see what he can do. Cabot gets back to the inside for position underneath Alfredo. Alfredo will keep the door open for now. He'll get the run out of turn 1, coming up through the S's, and Cabot will still maintain rather stable just behind this 23, looking for any advantage he can get. Still 3 trucks right here, 7th, 8th, and 9th, all in a trio. Maybe you can add in David Schildhouse as the quartet, and then everybody else pretty much 5th on forward, all in a single file train by themselves. They pretty much put themselves in their own league early on, Jacob.
I wouldn't include Schildhouse. I wouldn't include Presley Sora right behind Bickford, Cabot, and Alfredo, because Schildhouse, now that he's not battling, he's looking to pull away and maybe catch Brad Perez. Perez has caught on to the tail end of this top 4 in Pardis Rogers, SVG, and DJ Cummings. So it can be done to break away and catch these guys up here at the front. We're coming into 10 laps complete now, Kenneth. So the pit stop window should be open this time. Let's see if we have any takers throughout. I haven't heard anybody come over the radio and say they're coming in, so it looks like they're going to be making it at least one more lap, but they got to keep it in mind that they're going to be running low on fuel in the near future.
So far, for a majority of the front runners, none of them electing to come down pit road, so they will try at least one more lap here. We'll see how long they withstand. He said 10 to 12 laps, so 12 seems to be the maximum you can go. At least for now. Nobody, though, electing to come in as of the moment. So your leaders still stand. SVG trying to hunt down on DJ Cummings, and he's kept the gap relatively there. It hasn't pulled away. It hasn't really closed in. SVG has been the driver just right behind in the mirror of the 10. Hasn't forced his hand. It looks like now he will. Exit of the S's to the back straightaway. Entrance to the bus stop. SVG looking for the lead.
Couple of trucks in the back of the field have decided to come in. Justin Malillo is one, but Shane Van Gisbergen will retake the lead going into the bus stop. Cummings will hang on in 2nd. Will Rogers stays in 3rd, even though he looked to try and get by that 10 truck of DJ Cummings. Couldn't quite fit the nose in, so he backs off. He'll wait another lap. Preston Pardis sits in P4. Still David Schildhouse. He's closing in back there in P number 6. Adam Cabot still fighting with Anthony Alfredo, and the rundown of people that pitted: Charlie Brown, Mike Clay, and Justin Malillo. The 3 that pitted. DJ Cummings says he's coming in this lap as the field comes through 6.
So one of the majority leaders here coming in. DJ Cummings will shift all the way to the right. A yellow line guides you to pit road. Almost contact with Will Rogers there coming out of turn 7. And here are some more to follow. Looks like David Schildhouse. Adam Cabot will stay out. Anthony Alfredo will come in. And so here's the second batch of pit road takers. It was 34th on back that it made the first stop on lap 10. And it seems as though, as of the cross marker of lap 12, a good amount of the midfield and even the front runners now coming in for their first batch of service. And now it poses the question, Jacob, what happens to the guys up front, especially with the separation?
You got to come this time. Otherwise, you're running the risk of running empty unless you've been out there clutching and saving fuel. Even then, I don't think that you'd really be able to make it much more further than a lap, as everybody is just trying to work their way off of pit road. No black flags, at least from anybody up at the front of the field when they come onto pit road, so everything works out just fine and dandy there. Excuse me, Shane Van Gisbergen is in turn number 5 right now, coming around. He's got Mike Clay in front of him. Of course, Clay just pitted. So SVG should, I would think, pit here with everybody else this time around, but we'll find out.
So here comes SVG out of the final corner. We'll see if he stays to the right and hops on the brakes for the pit road speed limit. Looks like he will not. 97 will stay out, but it appears everybody else behind him will come in. Bit of a lock on the brakes for Rogers, Pardis, and Brad Perez. That's second, third, and fourth. Bring in fifth and sixth and seventh. Cabin, Bigford, Fern. You can also bring in Nick Olsen. TJ Majors is also coming in. So here's pretty much everybody else, Jacob Fitz, coming in except your race leader. That's unbelievable.
Everybody not named Shane Van Gisbergen is on pit road at this point if you haven't already made a stop. That's how things look, at least up the front of the field. Unless SVG has it cracked here, we'll follow him here. He's coming down off of 4. He's still up at full song. Gotta wonder if maybe he thinks he can go another lap. The calculations are good. You know, he doesn't have a spotter, so maybe he doesn't know that this thing's about to run dry. But he's coming around. He's still up at full speed. Coming through, throttling up through the carousel, through turn 5. From this point, he can coast. He'll lose time, but he can coast it back to pit road without any problems from here. So, somehow by leading, Shane Van Gisbergen has the best fuel mileage out of everybody. And I'm sure this is turning heads up and down pit road. How in the world did SVG get another lap out of this when everybody else, for the most part, has pitted? Devin Henry and Brandon Brown are the only other two that have yet to make a pit stop.
And here comes your race leader. So maybe there was some confidence, perhaps, Jacob, on how far he could go. Understood that he could probably go another lap without having to worry about the fuel starting to sputter on his Pro 2 truck. So he comes in as the race leader. Of course, he just lapped Mike Clay all the way back in 35th, but that will redo itself. So Mike Clay will be on the lead lap with your leader coming down pit road. Here's basically everybody else. Brad Perez in P5, all trying to catch up to the Flying Hawaiian. Will Rogers in the 55. So the second place car looking to take the race lead away for the 97 who tried the overcut strategy. Shane Van Gisbergen still on pit road. Here come the leaders going into turn 1. Here comes Shane Van Gisbergen out of the stall. And there comes Rogers. They're into turn 1. It's going to be a dogfight for the race lead. And SVG will beat Rogers out of turn 1.
Cold tires, gotta be careful coming up through the S's and coming up to speed. But SVG plays it perfect and comes out in the lead with Will Rogers in his wake. Got a couple of truck lengths, make it 6, 7, maybe 10 truck lengths back to DJ Cummings. 5 or 6 more to Preston Pardis, Brad Perez, Anthony Alfredo, and David Schildhaus. Here comes Rogers to the inside. He will retake the lead from Shane Van Gisbergen going to the bus stop.
And there's contact in the middle of the bus stop to the back bumper. Shane Van Gisbergen gave a shot to Rogers, but Rogers will hold on to the lead for now. And a fantastic pit stop play by SVG in the 97 to pit as late as possible and to get even track position. Because think about it, this is not even a big loss. Some guys come down pit road, they lose a plethora of spots, fall deep through the top 10, top 15. Shane Van Gisbergen only has to worry about 1 truck right in front of him, and 2 of them former winners here with this combo, both in Season 2 and Season 3, going neck and neck for P1 at lap 14.
And here's the thing, if Shane Van Gisbergen can extend his fuel mileage like that every time, I think he's barely going to make it on fuel. Everybody else is going to be close, and I think going to have to pit a 4th time because it's 38 laps. They're making it about 12 laps on fuel. That gets them 36. If you pit 3 times, it's going to be close. As a couple of black flags through the field for speeding, Gabe Wood, Seth Eggert, they'll have to serve those. In the meantime, SVG all over the back door of Will Rogers as they come off quarter number 4.
And he's going to give him another shot. How about to the outside going into the bus stop? He'll try to maximize the braking zone. Rogers will let him through. And the 97, Shane Van Gisbergen back to the point in the SimSeats off-road truck challenge. But don't at least ignore third place on back. TJ Cummings, Preston Pardis, Brad Perez, because these two have been going at it lap after lap. They're starting to reel them back in. So it's not just a two-horse fight here at lap 15. But Jacob, I also got to think here, if Shane Van Gisbergen stayed out as long as possible, that one extra lap could, like you say, Jacob, I mean, make the difference going all the way to the end as Cummings goes to the inside of Rogers for second. Maybe with the fact that Rogers and company saw SVG stay out that one extra lap, maybe they're starting to think, hey, I can do the same thing, and ultimately that's going to help their case to get all the way to the finish.
It might help them a little bit, but I don't know if they can make it all the way. The fact that SVG started this from the drop of the green flag, I think helps him out the most. I don't know if anybody else in the field can catch up with where he is at on fuel, even if they go one more lap than they did on this previous pit cycle. We'll have to wait and see. It depends on if SVG can keep it up. If he can, oh boy, everybody's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Also to note, Gabe Wood looks like he was nabbed with a penalty, so he made an extra pit stop. He's fallen to 36 on the racetrack. He also pitted with the likes of Ryan Vargas in the 6th, who currently is in 26th position. So not a great start to this race, or really midway portion of this race if you're Gabe Wood with that speeding penalty. Fortunately, he will still stay on the lead lap, although he is not too far away from the race leader. Wood now exiting the carousel. Your race leader, Shane Van Gisbergen, coming out of the carousel as well. So maybe just a matter of time before Gabe Wood gets put on the one lap down marker. Will Rogers was able to get the best of DJ Cummings to move back in a second. With Cummings now in a sandwich. P-Money, Preston Pardis trying to kind of lure him into a mistake and maybe make the pass complete for third and make it to 55-42, second and third once again.
Well, DJ Cummings made a huge mistake going into the bus stop. He biffed the latter half of it, went really wide coming out of the exit for the bus stop. That's what allowed Will Rogers to get by him, because Cummings had to slow down so he didn't hit the wall head on. So that's why he's stuck back in the third spot now. He had set everything up perfectly on Rogers, but couldn't quite make it happen. A big mistake running in that second spot. That cost him all that time, and he has to drop back as, whoa, my, James Bickford just went all the way out, I think, into the forest, but here he comes, round the outside, trying to get by David Schulthouse, Adam Cabot right behind. Bickford takes the spot on the exit of 3.
Well, if Bickford found the forest, he may have well just found the shortcut to get ahead of David Schildhouse and makes a defensive move there. Stay up on the high side, and the S is getting the maximum amount of momentum. And now he'll charge to Anthony Alfredo, who runs single file behind Brad Perez in P6, although Schildhouse will not go without a fight. First pit stops pretty much done for a majority of the field. Pretty much everybody have taken their trips down for fuel to make it to the end of this race, and no doubt we may expect another pit stop for guys to extend it to the checkered flag here in this SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge. Well, as we're still green flag racing, we'll remind you that our coverage of race number 3 from the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries is presented by Interstate Batteries. Built to top industry standards, Interstate Batteries has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. Jacob, I think we saw contact. Anthony Alfredo, maybe a little bit of a hit there. Furlong back, James Bickford had some contact into one of the corners, and Alfredo has been sent back to P9. Here's Adam Cabot to the inside for 8th.
Cabot was smoking the tires getting through turn number 1, but he was able to get by, and he takes that spot without any issues. So Anthony Alfredo gets drop kicked to P number 9, and it's spread them out a little bit, including David Schildhouse from this lead pack. Here comes James Bickford to the inside of Brad Perez going into the bus stop chicane. Brad pulls over, says, there you go, pal, have fun. James Bickford is back into the top 5 in the bus stop.
The Napa, California native, Hal Batter right now. And we mentioned, Jacob, that he had fallen significantly in the first stint of the race. It seems to be a resurgence here for the Charlotte Phoenix eSports machine as he tries to take a look at P-Money, Preston Pardis for P4. And the 29 will now duck to the inside. Here's the look. The bottom, turn 6. And it's an easy pass there for Bickford. No doubt about it. Underneath the 42, Pardis will try and retaliate. And Bickford now just playing the charge game right now, Jacob. It looks like he's unstoppable. And he's still got close proximity to DJ Cummings and Will Rogers. So who knows, we may see Bickford back in the top 3 or into the top 3 for the first time tonight if he can make the passes complete.
But Bickford has used his faster pair. He used it on that first round of green flag pit stops. We know Bickford had some damage after the contact that was made going into the bus stop chicane with David Schildhaus and Nick Olsen. Olsen also used his faster pair, so it may have been that damage. Whoa, trouble! Brad Perez just got kicked super high up into the air, side by side with David Schildhaus. Brad Perez is able to control it. Adam Cabot gets by Perez. Here comes Alfredo. A little too close for comfort coming through corner number 2. And Brad Perez is going to lose 2 stops, and he's in 2 spots, and he's in the process of losing a 3rd.
Well, they don't call them jumpy trucks for nothing, but that wasn't really the jump that Perez was looking for in the top 10. Here's a look at the completed pass, although it was without a little bit of contact right there and into the air with the rear tire of Brad Perez. Fortunately, he was able to get it back on all fours, keep the truck maintained, although he did lose that spot to Adam Cabot. Now make it 2 here with Anthony Alfredo, so that could have been close. That could have been easy territory for him to use his faster pair, but he does not. He'll stay clean as it gets
Case
even more dirty.
Kallenbach, it was just used as a pick. James Bickford just got lucky. Case Kallenbach is a lap down, was in the way of Will Rogers. Rogers had to punt him going into turn number 6. That pushed Rogers roll wide, and James Bickford now sits in position number 2. Just like that, here's the replay, and I mean, get out of the way, lap down, and Bickford says, thank you very much, I'll take that, we'll be seeing you.
He was trying to kick in the door, but I think he kicked it a little bit too hard. Second hit was really the one that sent Rogers on the outskirts of turn 6. So all of a sudden, James Bickford, even after using the faster pair, is able to get ahead of Preston Pardis on speed, get ahead of DJ Cummings, and then says, all right, door's open. I can build a new door to defend you from taking P2 away. I'll be on my way to SVG, but now James Bickford has to play the strategy of getting around lap trucks. Of course, your leader, Shane Van Gisbergen, hasn't really had a significant issue, Jacob, getting around these lap trucks, but Bickford is leading more trucks behind him, so he most notably has to do the job right, or else he's going to suffer big consequences like Rogers there. Here's the lap truck just in front. That's Gabe Wood in the 50. So Bickford will try the same pass that Rogers tried to do in turn 6 on Kallenbach, although it's going to be much cleaner, and Bickford will end up in front of the 50, put that pick to the 55 to deal with.
And Gabe Smart gets out of the way. Seth Eggert going to sit right in the way of Shane Van Gisbergen coming off turn number 7. SVG stays tucked up behind the tailgate of that 57. Now he pulls down to the inside. That's going to allow Bickford to close in a little bit, getting into turn number 1. The gap is down to just a second between the top 2, thanks to Seth Eggert. He goes a little bit wide coming off turn number 1. James Bickford right there to the inside with a breeze. He gets by the lap car of Seth Eggert.
And the move through lap traffic cost him time. Last lap as Bickford crossed the stripe, it was a 125.451 for your leader, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Oh, man!
125.8. Someone's around somewhere. It looks like trouble in the S's.
Eggert was right in the way again of Will Rogers. Now we got one car in the grass. I believe that's David Schildhaus just trying to get by Seth Eggert. He got sideways in the middle of turn number 3, got in the way of Will Rogers again. It stacked everybody up. Rogers gets away, and this time it bites Preston Pardis and DJ Cummings. Here's the replay. Oh, we got the wall and got right up in front of DJ Cummings. It stacked everybody up from 4th on back. 3 wide, people in the grass, but they all make it, and we still have yet to have a full course caution. These guys are driving crazy, but they've been keeping it pretty straight for the most part.
This is looking like daily Miami traffic without the crashes. As DJ Cummings, it looks like he's going to come on a pit road. So a call here by the 10, who was formerly in P2, coming in for service. Anthony Alfredo will follow. So as of lap 22, those 2 coming in for pit stops. And that's going to change the strategy book just a little bit, because if it looks for now, they can go to at least lap 34. If they extend all 12 laps, it's 4 laps short, of course, from the race distance of 38. I'm not sure entirely what they're trying to do with an undercut, maybe for track position, but ultimately we'll see if it works out to their favor, as James Bickford has significantly caught up to SVG, 0.2 of a second. Into the bus stop, Bickford has striking distance.
He is there, and Justin Melillo has also pitted, so I wonder if there's a code that these guys are trying to crack with how many laps are left. Somebody just cut the chicane. It was Gabe Wood, the lapper, so no worries back there. Here they come through the carousel, coming out of turn number 5. You see the lap car, Melillo, just up the road. SVG has a mirror full of James Bickford. Let's see if Bickford decides to make a move before these guys make their second round of green flag pit stops, or if he decides to wait and see what happens. They head to turn 7.
And there's more traffic up in front. Bring in Justin Melillo in the 53. There's another truck up ahead. That's Brandon Brown. There are 2 Brandon Browns in this race. One of them the NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, and the other one that usually drives the 12 each and every week here in Monday Night Racing. But it is Brandon Brown in the 12 who's the next lap truck in front of Justin Melillo. Melillo will easily let the top 2 by. Will say, I won't interfere with the things you've got going on. I'm just going to run my own race, and figures though Melillo will also do the same thing for third on back, Will Rogers and company. But Bickford is putting it to the back bumper, this 97, and maybe this hurts the strategy a little bit, because Van Gisbergen, he was somewhat pushing, but he had a solid distance to everybody else before that pit stop was made. Now he has practically no distance to the driver in second, so if there's any topic of saving fuel, any way he could try and add some more drops to the fuel tank to extend this race as far as possible on a stint, it's going to be non-existent with James Bickford behind them trying to take the lead away.
Here they come through the carousel. Brandon Brown wide up and out of the way. And Bickford, the gap's about a truck length and a half as they come up off the corner. No rear lap traffic in front. Steve Affon is the next lap car they'll see. He's all the way in turn number 7 as these guys get to turn 6. So plenty of time. I don't think they'll catch them before they make their pit stops. But Bickford is right in the tire tracks of SVG coming around. Doesn't look like either of them will pit. They stay out for yet another lap.
Also to note, highest runner that has pitted recently, DJ Cummings. He's moved his way up to 17th. We've got one taker around the top 5. It's David Schildhouse, all by his lonesome. So nobody's going to go with the 20 here on this call with 15 laps to go. And I'm guessing, Jacob, especially the leaders, they're just holding out hope that they can extend this fuel to at least 12 laps to go, because then that just gives them the insurance. All right, we can make it all the way to the end on a tank of gas, and then it's basically just about what they can do conserving their tires on track. So that may be the call. 3 laps to go until that 12 lap to go mark, so who knows.
But for everybody not named Shane Van Gisbergen, they're on 11 laps. So they've only got 1 lap left for the most part. For SVG, he can probably go 2 more, if not more. So they are right on the doorstep of having to pit or running the tank dry. Let's see what happens with these guys. And these guys are definitely saving in the top 2, because Brandon L. Brown has been able to catch these guys. He's a lap down, just came off pit road. This is Xfinity Series driver Brandon Brown, and he is all over these 2 up here at the front.
Nick Olson, Ford Martin have also taken a trip down pit road as of the last lap, and the question will still stand whether SVG and James Bickford come in, and the answer is, again, a resounding no. They'll cross the line for 14 laps to go. Rogers will be able to stay out. Here comes Cabot. You mentioned Jacob on pit road. Preston Pardis will not follow. Neither will Perez. Neither, I believe, Colin Fern. He's coming through turn 7 now, so we'll take an eye if that 86 decides to peel down. Fern will not. So Cabot, much like Schildhouse here, Jacob, all by himself on this call.
I know you can save fuel to road course. These guys better be saving a lot of fuel, or they think they're going to run out in turn 7 and will just coast it around. This is some of the wildest strategy I think I've ever seen. As here comes Bickford to the inside. He's going to pass SVG for the lead going into the bus stop.
And SVG let him do it. Didn't try to fight back. Stayed behind the 29 as they entered into the braking zone for the bus stop. So a crucial change for P1. James Bickford with 14 laps to go. Looking to hold on to this thing as long as possible, and it'll be his first win in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Bickford, of course, still a short gap to James Bickford, or rather to Shane Van Gisbergen behind. Bickford going to hold on. We'll see if anybody else takes another trip down to pit road. And indeed, you're right. There's calls for them coming down in. So Bickford will come out of turn 7. Shane Van Gisbergen will follow.
He's staying out.
Not tracked down at pit road. Bickford going to be the sole one in.
This is his strategy, though, because this will put him on lap 12. He might even be able to go one more. And Preston Pardis stays out. Rogers comes in. Perez stays out. This is insane. I cannot believe that these guys haven't been forced to make a pit stop.
So it is a sporadic choice to come down pit road. Looks like Max Cannon is also in. Colin Fern is going to join the group that's staying out here as of lap 26. And Shane Van Gisbergen is next up to lead the call. I think it's exactly what I said, Jacob. The fact that SVG had stayed out that long in the first stint maybe inspired everybody else to say, hey, we'll try to extend this as far as possible, add that extra lap, and we should be okay. Then the next lap through, come in for service and not have a problem with the engine sputtering or the truck significantly slowing down. So they're all taking their chances here. And remember, this is pretty much most likely, Jacob, going to be the final stop. Unless we get a yellow, then that may change up the entire game as of lap 26. But ultimately, everyone's taking a different route. I like this so far.
Well, and just listening on board with Preston Pardis, who's in second, he's barely on the throttle. Half throttle going to the bus stop, half throttle in the chicane, or half throttle in the carousel. Let's see. Here comes SVG. Now he's finally going to bite and come on the pit road. Pardis is coming into turn number 7 right now. I would imagine that he's going to pit. He goes to the inside. He's on the curbs. Yes, he will stop. Brad Perez is right there as well. He'll come on to pit road as well as Brandon Brown, who's a lap down in that 12 machine. So finally, SVG comes on to pit road. DJ Cummings is headed to turn number 6. James Bickford is through 6 right now. Let's see if he can pass SVG. He just got into his box.
Yeah, Bickford now P5 coming out of turn 7, and Colin Fern just in front of him is slowing down for pit road. So Fern is finally going to come in. Bickford is going to easily make that pass, make him now up to 3rd. Here comes SVG out of the box. So once again, it's a Will Rogers SVG situation coming into turn 1, and that looks like clear getaway for SVG to take the lead once again with 12 laps to go.
Much cleaner for Shane Van Gisbergen this time around. The only problem is the lapper of Brett Baldeck that's right in front of him coming up through the S's. That'll allow Bickford to close in a little bit as SVG gets the tires warmed up. Let's see if he can get by that Queen City News machine coming up out of turn number 4. Indeed, Baldeck pulls over. There goes Van Gisbergen. He is clean living with 12, making 11 and a half laps to go. But James Bickford is flying. He wants to catch these guys as quick as he can. And how about David Schildhaus sitting in P3?
He started 10th, +5 since the drop of the green. So what a miraculous run it's been for the driver of the 20. And again, former championship 4 contender, had a lot of confidence going into season 4 after winning at Daytona, and said the championship was going to run through him. And so far, it's looking like he's going to build that resume up once again if he can close this deal and maybe even take advantage of Bickford and SVG just in front of him in the final 12 laps of the SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge. We'll remind you at this stage of the race that our coverage here on Podium Esports is brought to you by BOOSTED.BIZ. Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products. They take care of everything. You can pay nothing and let them handle the rest. To get started with your online store, visit boosted.biz today. Devin Henry coming out of pit road just in front of David Schildhaus. These are lap trucks, so will not take an effect on race position, and Schildhaus has cleared them both. Devin Henry running a very special paint scheme, orange and purple, in commemoration of his real-life Chevy Silverado out on the street. So a nice look here for the 077 out of Arizona, the Sports 360 Arizona reporter. Henry not having the best race, 1 lap down in 29th, but still a rather clean truck, so hopefully going to keep it all the way to the end. But I think this call, Jacob, by Bickford ultimately helped him here. Has got some tires to work with on SVG. It's not a huge deficit. And David Schildhaus, also a great call for him too. He's got some older tires, but he's closing in on 1st and 2nd, so it's far from over.
Nice scheme on Devin Henry's machine. Nice scheme on Ryan Vargas' scheme as well. Talked with him pre-race. There's a special message behind the scheme that's on his truck. He didn't know that it was on there until he went on, saw it was on there, and thought it was fitting that he would run it tonight. It's the scheme that he ran in his Xfinity Series debut at Iowa in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Cranio Care Bears on the machine as James Bickford bounced it off the fence right behind SVG. Will battle for the lead, but nonetheless, with Vargas Cranial Care Bears on the hood of the race car, the founder of that organization, that foundation, if you will. Their son, 11 and a half years old, passed away a few weeks ago. Ryan Vargas, I was hoping maybe we would get a stoppage, we would get a chance to actually talk with him, but that luck hasn't swung our way yet. But obviously, Cranial Care Bears a big motivation for him, something big in his background. He supports them through and through, asks those to donate to that foundation in memory of Brentley Eamon, again, the 11-and-a-half-year-old son of the founder of that organization that passed away just a few weeks ago.
And of course, our condolences to the family, and nice to see Ryan Vargas commemorating them with the paint scheme. And a very simple but very effective Cranial Care Bears, the sponsor, of course, like you said, Xfinity Series debut. And Ryan Vargas finished 17th in that Iowa race back a couple of years ago, and look where he's running right now. P17 on the racetrack, so who knows, but we just missed a pass for the race lead. James Bickford has finally got the best out of the Auckland, New Zealand native, so once again, Charlotte Venus eSports running out front, just similar to the likes of Graham Boland and the competitors in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series running well each and every week. Bickford finding the fire this week at Watkins Glen, and with a half-a-second advantage, slightly over SVG, David Schildhouse is hunting back in third, so and still closing, by the way, so may have a point to make against SVG and James Bickford for the win here. By the way, all three of them have yet to get to victory lane over the first two races this season, so it would be huge for them to lock into the playoffs tonight.
I think SVG pulled over for him, by the way. Just looking at the numbers down the back straightaway, Bickford was going 8 miles an hour faster than Shane Van Gisbergen. He pulled over, gave him the lead. He's focused on saving Schildhouse. He's focused on getting to the front and hoping there's a caution. I think that's the strategy that he's on at this point. SVG, he's trying to make it. Bickford, I'm not quite sure where he's at. I think he's kind of straddling in the middle between the Schildhouse strategy of hoping there's a caution and the SVG strategy of making it all the way without pitting again. We're inside 10 laps to go. We already have a couple more that have pitted. Justin Malillo's back on pit road. Adam Cabot just pitted for 5 seconds. A little splash and go for him. I think for those that pitted on the earlier side, they're looking for a splash and go to ensure that they make it the distance.
And that splash may be crucial here, and the fuel might be a concern for David Schildhouse, because right now, as he crosses the line, he is 7 laps completed on his stint, 8 laps to go, and we said
Alfredo and Cummings are in.
Is 12 laps, so for Schildhouse here, he can go at least 5 more before the tank will start to run dry, so maybe just trying to take advantage of what he's got for now. You are right, couple of takers on pit road. Alfredo, DJ Cummings, they were formerly around the top 5, top 10, now 8th and 9th on the racetrack. We'll lose a couple of more as Ford Martin will go by. Adam Cabot and company will also take their trip around as they will hold out hope here on the front straightaway. But things are getting dicey. Here comes Schildhouse for P2 on the bus stop.
He's got it. SVG pulls over, lets him go. David Schildhouse takes over second. He's going to need help, I think, to make it to the end, unless he got a reserve tank that he hasn't told anybody about. There's no way he's going to be able to make up 3 laps of fuel in 5 laps, unless there's a caution, and even then, I think he's still going to have to pit. Some of these other guys like Bickford and Van Gisbergen, they might be able to make it all the way to the checkered flag. Here comes Schildhouse, though. He looks for the lead in turn 6.
Schildhouse, absolutely no mercy into turn 6, and Shane Van Gisbergen will have a chance to strike back into turn 7, but maybe this could be a call here, Jacob, as they make contact. Bickford in the 20 of Schildhouse make door-to-door contact. He'll slide back to second. SVG will stay in third, but maybe it probably isn't a category for the race win. Maybe Schildhouse is looking for track position in the case that when he does come down pit road, he won't lose that much time, especially if he can stay here with the top 3. Who knows as we cross the line for 7 laps to go. James Bickford still in the lead, but Schildhouse trying to take it all away.
Trying to apply the pressure, and of course, if Schildhouse can force Bickford into a mistake that could potentially cause a caution, I'm sure Schildhouse would be delighted, not the fact that Bickford wrecked, but the fact that he were to get a caution flag. 7 laps to go, and here comes Schildhouse to the inside, into the bus stop, side by side for the lead. Which driver's going to send it in deeper? Schildhouse. He will take the lead away from James Bickford.
And what we've seen before, Jacob, on the entry to the bus stop is that the driver who is on the outside will usually hold back, at least slow down, let the other one through, but Bickford tried holding the side-by-side position against Schildhouse going into the bus stop, could not obviously keep it stable, and so he'll fall to P2. Shane Van Gisbergen will try to get the 2 spots back to be in the race lead with 6 laps to go. It looks like 4th on back is not going to be a factor. Will Rogers a total of about 13.6 seconds to your race leader, David Schildhouse, so it's going to be a lot for him to overcome. This time by 6 laps to go. Schildhouse will continue to stay out, but it's 1, 2, 3 within 0.4 of a second.
Here comes Bickford. He got a heck of a run. Coming through 6 and 7. He's going to stay glued to the back door of David Schildhouse, though, going into turn number 1. SVG right there in the tire tracks as well. 3 trucks under a blanket. If you remember the 2011 finish, make that the 2012 finish. Well, be ready, because this is brewing up to be a banger of a finish if ever. David Schildhouse leads up through the S's. He's got to be running low. In 9 laps he's done on these tires and on fuel. He's maybe got 3, maybe 4 laps left. The problem is 6 laps to go. Bickford all over the back bumper as they head to the bus stop.
It is crunch time. Bickford not going to go for the pass just yet into the bus stop. Schildhouse will hold the lead. He'll drift through the grass, maybe lose a bit of time on the exit into the carousel. Bickford and SVG will try the slingshot approach, potentially coming to 5 laps to go. It's pretty much these top 3 unless a yellow comes out or something miraculous happens in the front of the field. But we'll shortly remind you that our coverage here on Podium Esports is brought to you by Battle Beaver. Battle Beaver has everything you need for your next professionally modded custom controller with options for PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, and more. Battle Beaver has everything you need to elevate your gaming potential. Head to BattleBeaverCustoms.com to customize your controller, and you can use the code PODIUM for 10% off. Again, Jacob, Schildhouse not coming down to pit road, so he's going to hold this for as long as possible. He can at least go 2 more laps before the tank will start to sputter, and Schildhouse will basically be forced to come down pit road by any stretch of the imagination, but still holding on to the lead. That is a big mistake in turn 1. Here comes Bickford to the top of the hill in the S's.
He gained time. Schildhouse gained time by going all that wide. Bickford couldn't close it in. Schildhouse kept his foot on it even though he was losing traction in the rear tires. He's still going to be the leader, and you gotta wonder, Schildhouse is probably just going to run it until it runs out. That would be my guess, just to stick with the strategy through and through. They are 3 wide, almost all 3 of them tandeming into the bus stop.
And Schildhouse still maintaining control. And by the way, Schildhouse's last win came in May of 2021, back when he won with the Next Gens at Phoenix back in Season 4. Or rather, so actually won December 6, 2021. Excuse me on that. Shane Van Gisbergen was the one that week after the 1987s at the Michigan International Speedway. Both of them trying to tally a win in Season 5. SVG trying to be the first since Raja Karuk to win in the same combo 2 seasons in a row. But it's David Schildhouse up in the front. Bickford looking for his first win ever in Monday Night Racing history. This time 4 laps to go, and Schildhouse is not letting up just yet.
He pulled the gap a little bit more. SVG lurking back just in case there's contact between these top 2. Schildhouse sends it back into turn number 1. He's on lap 11 of his fuel run. He goes wide again, same spot, almost running the Kyle Busch line from 2012, but he's still clear of Bickford. Here they come through turn 2. Schildhouse gets a little wide from the apex. Bickford all over the back door. SVG all over the back bumper. He hits the wall. He's right behind James Bickford. All 3 of them almost glued together as they come off the corner and head to the bus stop.
It's a 3-truck train. Sideways goes Bickford, and SVG gave him the shove. Bickford will be able to save it without a problem, but you can tell it is starting to build up the anticipation. They're starting to rush this now. They want to get by Schildhouse. They have confidence at least that they can make it to the end of the race. Schildhouse is burning the most fuel up at the front, so he's the one with the most concern. They'll come across the line after they approach 6 and 7 with only 3 laps to go from virtual Watkins Glen International. And it looks like these are the 3 Titans, Jacob. Schildhouse just trying to hold on to whatever he can. and the other two have not been nice to him as they continue to close.
He's pinning. He's pinning. David Schildhaus is pinning this time. He cannot make it. He cedes it. He gives up. David Schildhaus is on pit road. James Bickford takes the lead, coming to 3 laps to go. It's a 2-horse pony show at the dog races as they head to turn number 1. SVG all over the back door. Can't quite get the move on Bickford. He'll lead him through 1.
So Schildhaus will come in. He'll fall to 3rd. He'll try to crawl to his stall. Brad Perez is in 4th, now coming out of turn 7 to the start-finish line. So Schildhaus will lose a couple positions, but it may not be the largest hit in the world. He may still be able to rack in at least the top 5, top 10 before this is all said and done. But now it's reduced to just 2. SVG, James Bickford, Van Gisbergen giving a huge shove to the 29 into the bus stop.
Oh, and SVG backed off in a hurry. Bickford continues to lead him around. They're coming to just 2 laps to go. You gotta wonder how aggressive SVG is going to be to try and pick up his first win on the season and 2nd in a row here at Watkins Glen. Bickford with a good launch coming out of the carousel. He leads by 0.3 of a second, but SVG is closing in the gap. We know SVG has 1 better lap compared to Bickford. We'll see if that makes a difference as they're coming to 2 to go.
David Schildhaus falls back to 6th, but he's well out of pit road already, so that may be the placement he stays in by the time the checkered flag is waved here from Watkins Glen. But for the top 2, yet to be decided. 2 laps to go for James Bickford. And usually on a strategy race, it could end with a driver all the way at the front without any concerns from anyone behind him. But Bickford has the eye on the rear view mirror for SVG to make a move. A shorter turn 1. The 97 not able to get the run in the back bumper. Will try to use the draft coming up the hill. But Bickford needs to maintain control for at least another 1.5 laps. And SVG is not going to make it easy on him whatsoever.
Shane Van Gisbergen was a tenth slower that last time by. Let's see if he can close the door. There you see Bickford, eyes glued up into the rearview mirror as SVG comes right to the back bumper. And now Bickford will pull away. It just seems like SVG does not want to send it into the bus stop as hard as he can yet. Big slide! SVG loses a ton of time coming out of the carousel. And Bickford's clear by 4 truck lengths going through the carousel. That might have been the move that cost Shane Van Gisbergen the shot at the win. It's all Bickford headed to turn 6.
Coming out of the final corner in the bus stop, Shane Van Gisbergen had all 4 tires on the grass, made the slide, and Bickford now has a little wiggle room, a little bit of space to hold off the 97. This time out of turn 7, white flag in the air for the 29 of James Bickford. Remember, SVG is a previous winner. He knows what it's like to win in Monday Night Racing. James Bickford does not. Final lap into turn 1. Bickford trying to hold on to the lead.
James Bickford looking for his first career win in Monday Night Racing. Let's see if he can make it the distance on fuel. We know Shane Van Gisbergen should be good. He's closing in. The gap is 0.3 of a second as they come up through the hills. The twisty S's for the final time. James Bickford continues to lead him around. Van Gisbergen is closing. The gap is 0.2. The gap is 1.5. The gap is 1/10. He is all over the back door. A big block. Here comes Van Gisbergen into the grass. They slide. They make contact. Bickford crosses him over. They both slide again through the bus stop. Bickford wide. They're still making contact. Will Rogers is 15 seconds back. It's Bickford into the carousel for the final time.
They were all in the grass, both of them, trying to slip through into the carousel, but somehow James Bickford emerges out of the carousel in the race lead. Final 2 corners from Watkins Glen, New York. Bickford looking for his first win in Monday Night Racing history. Final charge from the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen, turn 7. Gisbergen with a shot to the 29. Bickford slides up high. Bickford hits the outside wall, but the charge will not sustain. James Bickford wins his first ever Monday Night Racing race. What a job with the 29.
Why did we take this off the schedule? That was unbelievable. How about the battle for 3rd? Will Rogers and Brad Perez. Rogers gets 3rd, Perez 4th. Pardis finishes in 5th. Photo finish there. David Schildhaus is going to finish in 6th. And DJ Cummings, I don't know what happened to him. He finishes back in the 10th spot. He really fell off. Oh, man. SVG gave it everything he had.
Yeah, he certainly did. Look at the final lap. They crossed the line. And it's not even the first section of the track. It was the bus stop that really set everything into motion. Bickford came out as the leader. That was the final shot from Shane Van Gisbergen to try to shake up the 29. But ultimately, it did not last, and it did not work as James Bickford gets his first ever Monday Night Racing win. What a finish there, Jacob. And by the way, our picks 2nd and 3rd, so I think we did a good job. I think we somehow did a good job there. I don't know how.
Nobody picked Bickford, though, right? We can,
no,
Blake
nobody
will just
did.
say that was his pick and we'll move on, right?
You know what? Next week, he'll probably hang that over our heads. I know it for sure. But it's James Bickford with his first win. The 29 goes to victory lane on behalf of Charlotte Phoenix Esports, and I believe that is also Charlotte Phoenix Esports' first win in Monday Night Racing also. So there's a first on both sides. Shane Van Gisbergen, despite the attempts, despite the last hit into turn 7, ultimately did not work. Will Rogers is far back to not have an effect on the race win, but it is good enough for 3rd. So the Flying Hawaiian definitely had a solid race after starting on pole. Brad Perez, Hollywood, Florida native, ends up P4. Preston Pardis, P-Money, the Floridian just behind him in P5. David Schildhaus, I mean, you got to give credit for staying out as long as he did and taking the race lead, leading some laps, and still getting some solid points after the pit stop. P6 at the end of it for the 20. Adam Cabot, your defending champion, ends up just behind Schildhaus in P7. Anthony Alfredo is 8th. Max Kennan is 9th. And DJ Cummings rounds out your top 10.
TJ Majors finishes in the 11th spot. Colin Fern finishes 12th. Last week's winner, Presley Sora, finishes in 13th. Ryan Vargas finishes in 14th. Nick Olson, 15th. Ford Martin, solid finish tonight in P16. He had a good battle with Landon Huffman coming to the line. He finishes in 17th. Garrett Smithley finishes 18th. Gary Sexton in 19th. And Stephen Ellis, a quiet night for him. He finishes in P20.
Ryan Boris Cook in a colorful truck tonight in the 63. He's the last driver on the lead lap in 21st. Everybody below 1 lap down or more. Matt Stolnick in 22nd. Brandon Brown, the Xfinity Series driver, Brandon Brown in 23rd. Devin Henry ends up in 24th after starting 37th. Robbie Lyons ends up 25th. Steve Alphonse 26th. 27th will go to Gabe Wood in the 50. 28th will go to Justin Malillo. 29th to Ron Capps. And the final spot in the top 30 will go to the 4 machine of Brett Baldeck. And there's the rest of the field, 31st through 38th. Brandon Brown in the 12 is 31st. Seth Eggert, Mark Rabillas, Mike Clay, George Belfines Jr. to 35th. And then 2 laps down, 3 laps down for 36th, 37th. Case Collenbach, Charlie Brown, and then Ruben Garcia, who was supposed to start in the top 10 tonight, had connection issues just before the green flag and was not able to get there. Also, Ruben Garcia does get the DoorDash award, finishes last, so maybe a couple of bucks given to Ruben Garcia to get a little snack somewhere around. I'm not sure, Jacob, but it's such a weird award to announce, though.
He never turned a lap under green, so does he still get the award, or does it go to the driver that finished in 37th in Charlie Brown, since he actually attempted a lap? Garcia never attempted a lap. He fell out before we got the green flag.
That is true. That is a good point. We'll see if the award actually
Charlie
is
Brown.
given to Garcia.
Ford just made the call. Ford Martin just said Charlie Brown wins the DoorDash award.
All right, so it's not Garcia, it's Brown that gets the DoorDash award after finishing 37th. So that's a pretty much full field and one insane strategy race that leads off with James Bickford getting his first ever Monday Night Racing win in the Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. James, my first question, how? You had a V8 Supercar champion behind you, but you played it all perfectly, and then the final slips in the last lap, you end up taking advantage of everything, and you walk away with your first win. Just to explain the emotions, how you were able to do it tonight.
Man, I'm here to put on a show for the fans. I don't know about you, but it was a great time behind the steering wheel for me. Going into the last corners, I knew I was a little bit faster than Shane, just with the strategy and what we were doing. And I couldn't get away from his draft. Every time I'd have a good corner, I'd pull away. He'd just suck up right down up to my back bumper down the straightaways, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I was like, it's going to come down to the last lap here. So I hope it was awesome for the fans. I hope it was awesome for you guys, because I'm over here just ecstatic. I'm having a great time.
Oh, exciting for us? That's an understatement. It was immense watching you and Shane Van Gisbergen go at it in the final laps. And walk us through the recovery. I mean, we talked about you earlier on in the race where there was some slight contact. You had fallen back, and you were still in the top 10, and then came the big resurgence. You got the faster pair, and then it looked like you were just clicking off guys lap by lap. What was it like to just have that little setback, a little bit of contact, and then to pick yourself back up, to put yourself in that spot to win?
Well, like I said, I have a wonderful crew chief, Reed Wilson. I have an awesome spotter, Matt Scott. We did some testing today. I had an open day, so I decided to test a little bit before we got into the race, and then we found something. So our something worked. Even with that contact, I knew I just had to stay relevant in the race, and I would be able to run through the field, and that's exactly what happened, just according to plan. The only thing I didn't plan on is Shane being so fast. He was awesome tonight, and it was hard to beat him.
So coming off of tonight's win, it's a first for you in Monday Night Racing, which obviously has to be huge, but it's also a first for Charlotte Phoenix Esports. I know you've got the logo on the shirt, so it is the first win for them in Monday Night Racing Series history. So I think you've got a one up on everybody with the first here tonight.
Hey, I might pop the bottle here with CJ Collins. I wish my girlfriend Leora Mullins was here. But yeah, I think I'm gonna head over to CJ Collins' house, who's with Charlotte Phoenix, and we're gonna go have a good time.
It's going to be a lot of fun, but of course, next week, Radicals at Texas. I know you're already locked into the playoffs, so there's no worries about points racing from here on out. Do you have anything planned for that race? It was a formal All-Star race. It's an insane combo. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I always like to keep it interesting. You never, good magician never shows his cards. So, maybe we have some things planned for Texas and the Radicals. Maybe we don't. I can tell you one thing, that the pressure is now off for making it in the playoffs, which is so relieving. So it's going to be a good time racing, trying to get some wins throughout the regular season. And I'm just going to be preparing for playoffs.
Definitely sure as of now with this win from Watkins Glen. James, on behalf of our team here at Podium Esports, we want to congratulate you on the W from Watkins Glen, New York. And of course, we'll see you in the playoffs later this year, 2022. But for now, we'll see you next week. Go celebrate with the champagne and the Charlotte Phoenix. Who knows?
Thank you.
James Bickford, win number 1 in his Monday Night Racing career. Unbelievable job by Bickford to hold off the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen, a V8 Supercar champion. Jacob, I mean, the unbelievability there with Shane Van Gisbergen being able to continuously hit him on the rear, continuously put pressure, continuously try every single time, and Bickford didn't budge. What an unbelievable finish there at the end, especially in the bus stop.
A classic. It just, so many moments flew into my mind when they got into the bus stop, and for whatever reason, I just kept saying, they're sliding. They're sliding. I couldn't say they're spinning because they still had a little bit of control of the trucks, but it wasn't enough control. It was so incredible. Such a great finish to a wild race, and the strategy really was just a curveball, I think, for a lot of folks. That I know I wasn't expecting that much strategy to come into it. I thought we would see at least one caution, especially the way Martinsville and Daytona went, right? But a rare change of pace. Things were clean pretty much the whole way through. Yeah, we had some contact up at the front here and there, but for the most part, I thought these guys did pretty well. And looking ahead, oh boy, if we thought tonight was wild, Radicals at Texas, yes please, bring it on.
I think we're going to have to say that for every race, Jacob. If you thought this race was wild, this one is going to top. We're going to say it for every race into the championship, but you are right. Texas Radicals is a combo not seen often on the iRacing space. It's been here before in Monday Night Racing history. It was an all-star race. Brad Perez went to victory lane on that occasion, but I mean, it's just going to be insane there when we get to the Radicals at Texas Motor Speedway just 1 week from tonight. But James Bickford going to be able to celebrate here as he gets his first win in his Monday Night Racing career. That's going to be a lot. And guess what? He's going to be a new entrant into the MNR playoffs by the time we kick things off later this season. So Radicals, Texas Motor Speedway will head to the Wild Wild West 1 week from tonight. James Bickford going to hold on to the crown for as long as he can. And it's going to be unbelievable to see how this rest of the MNR season is going to approach us and how everything's going to unfold, who's going to fight for the win, and who's going to be a contender for the Strive for 5 for Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. So for Fort Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, for Josh Mendoza in race control, for Gary Sexton and John Theodore over at Podium Esports, for our camera builder tonight, Dougie Beard, and for our overlay builder, Michael Hall, Cameron Auburnett on social media, and our crew on tonight's broadcast, our producer tonight, Ryan Bauer, my colleague in the booth, Jacob Hitz. My name is Kenneth Bueno, saying so long from Watkins Glen, New York, in the SimSeats Off-Road Truck Challenge. It's James Bickford, win number 1. We'll see you 1 week from tonight in Texas.